Hello and welcome back to the Indian Wisdom Podcast. I'm Dr. Raj Balkaran, founder of the Indian Wisdom School. Today we're going to talk about a fascinating mythological creature that's complex, created for a complex situation. And then we will perhaps draw out some of the themes that might be relevant to this little thing called life. So once upon a time, there was a demon, and this demon's name was Hiranyakashipu. You cannot say that 3 times fast. It will not go well for you. Hiranyakashipu. Anyhow, for those familiar with the story of Prahlada and his devotion to Vishnu, uh, you'll know this figure. But Hiranyakashipu performs great penance. They typically do penance to Shiva or Lord Brahma, in this case, Lord Brahma, and he earned a boon. Now, the demons always want the boon of immortality. Why? Because in their view, they were robbed from the elixir of life everlasting, Amrita, the ambrosia of the gods, because it is of the gods, because the gods coveted it. Once it was churned. By whom was it churned? It was churned by the demons and the gods alike. The gods used the demons for their labor and usurp the elixir. Mind you, the demons had the same plan, and they actually succeeded in getting there first. And Vishnu had to disguise himself as Mohini to distract them, etc., etc., etc. But immortality is not theirs, and they're really jonesing for immortality. So they do all kinds of austerity, penance, and they ask for immortality, and they're told it can't be had, or they'll ask for something that they feel will amount to immortality. I want to have the boon that I can be killed neither by day nor by night. Okay, twilight it is. Right. So he's trying to think up a clever boon that would grant him immortality in effect. Okay, so he asks to be killed neither by day nor by night, neither indoors nor outdoors, neither by man nor god nor beast. Rama goes, Tatastu, so be it. Grants him the boon, knowing all too well that all such boons, they all come with them sort of a fail-safe. There's an aspect of them where they're undercut by their very logic, because you cannot really account for totality in any one given sentence or request, right? And so in order for this demon to be killed, which he is, Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, the great sustainer, takes on avatar incarnation as Narasimha. Those of you familiar with the Indic world might be well aware of this half man, half lion avatar of Vishnu. Fierce, right? He wasn't fully man nor fully lion. He wasn't a man per se. He wasn't a lion, or he wasn't a god per se. He was a combination. And therefore, he would qualify to slay Hiranyakashipu. What about the other conditions? Vishnu drags him to the threshold, right? So it's neither indoors nor outdoors. In some versions of the myth, it's in a courtyard, which is a clever space that's liminal. It's not, what's the courtyard? Is it outdoors? Not quite. It belongs to someone's property. Is it indoors? Not quite. It's sort of fresh out there. And so he rips him apart. He tears him to thread, to shreds at twilight, neither night nor day in the threshold. And that was the end of Hiranyakashipu and his hubris-fueled boon. However, some situations prove rather sticky, you know. As Narasimha is ripping away at Hiranyakashipu, the demon's blood enters his lion mouth. Yummy. He tastes it. He likes it. He likes it a little too much. He develops a bloodlust. Right? So Vishnu forgets who he is. He forgets his divinity and hunts far and wide to indulge his taste for blood. right? And this is a gruesome state of affairs indeed. Isn't this a metaphor, do we think, maybe for the times in which we may remember or forget different aspects of self? And perhaps that is implicated by the push and pull of what we desire, what we want, and what we don't want. And that our pushing and pulling of our wanting and not wanting maybe obscures clear seeing at times. So it seems. So this is a gruesome state of affairs, right? And so, seeing the gruesome state of affairs, the gods en masse go visit Grandfather Brahma. And they're like, look, you got to do something. Vishnu the Preserver has forgotten who he is, and he prances about the earth, devouring prey. He's a sustainer and he's devouring prey. Cool. Not so cool. Yes, yes, yes. I've seen with my divine eye what has happened upon the destruction of Hiranyakashipu, began Brahma you know, rather sort of calm. Usually I send you to see Vishnu when there's an issue to be sorted out. After all, he is the preserver. But who preserves creation when the preserver is out of commission? Then all is lost, cried the gods, catastrophizing maybe a teeny bit. Ah, there's always a way, my children. Don't worry, kids. All one needs is some creativity to find a solution. There's always a solution to be found. It's not typically a straight line from A to B. It takes a little bit of, contortion of consciousness or creativity. And I happen to be the creator god, so I've got lots of that. But if the preserver is in peril, then who can we call upon to do the preserving? Asked the gods. There are many paths up the mountain, replied Lord Brahma with a twinkle in his eye. One man's destruction is another's preservation. Destroying a destructive force amounts to preservation, doesn't it? So, go see the destroyer, Lord Shiva, who will be able to put an end to Narasimha's carnage. With that, the gods all traveled to Shiva's abode and informed him of their woes. Seeing how dire the situation was, Shiva transformed himself into a terrifying creature who has to fight fire with fire, no? And he assumed a form called Shadabha, another phenomenal. You've got Narasimha, this wonderful sort of mythic beast, and then we've got Shadabha. And what is Shadabha? He's a leonine creature, so lion-like, with two heads, two wings, 8 legs. That's pretty cool. I'm going to tell you, there needs to be more comic books about these figures. Okay. And he also has a long serpent's tail. So really, really fascinating figure. Shadowbody descends to Earth to engage in gory battle with Narasimha. The two fight, fiercely. They duke it out. And then Sharaba deals a crippling blow to Narasimha, going straight for his jugular. And then that was the destruction of the Narasimha incarnation. And Vishnu was freed. He immediately realized his divinity and returned to his celestial duties, praising the glory of Shiva. However, having tasted the blood of Narasimha, sound familiar? It was Sharaba who was now suffering from intense bloodlust, just as Narasimha was previously. Cycles, right? Shiva forgot his divinity, and you guessed it, he started to wreak havoc upon the earth plane, chasing prey. Chaos ensues. The gods all get back into their minivan and go up to visit Lord Brahma, and they're like, Grandfather Brahma, you got to do something. Shiva the Destroyer has now forgotten who he is and is prancing about the earth devouring prey, exclaimed the gods. Well, replied Lord Brahma, just as one man's destruction is another's preservation, so too is one man's preservation another's destruction. Please stop speaking in riddles. This is not philosophy class. This is like a dire, violent situation. This is no time for philosophy. I was like, have you heard of the Bhagavad Gita? And they're like, just please, just tell us what to do. Do I have to explain everything to you? Do you have no critical thinking, no originality, no creativity? Well, I guess okay. Just as the destroyer Shiva was called upon to destroy Narasimha for the sake of preservation, slip it around. Call upon the preserver Vishnu to preserve the earth by destroying Sharaba. But wasn't it Vishnu's incarnation as Narasimha that got us into the situation? Asked the exasperated gods. Yes, but it is Vishnu's dharma to incarnate on earth as man, beast, or whatever is required in order to preserve the earth and protect the beings upon the earth. So I'm sure he'll do so, having learned from his past experience. We all learn our lessons in life, don't we? So the gods went off to find Vishnu and tell him all about the problem at hand. And he was quite compassionate because he understood what Shiva was going through because he was just there. Upon learning how dire the situation was and feeling responsible, Vishnu was determined to help. He knew he must incarnate in a form powerful enough to compete with Shiva's Sharabha incarnation. So Vishnu assumed his terrifying Ganda Berunda form. Okay. What is this? How do we, how do we, how do we best this intriguing Sharabha incarnation? Well, this form is the form of a great two-headed bird with immense power. He has the power to skewer an entire elephant with a single talon. This is a major mojo. So Ganda Berunda descends to earth to the place where Sharaba was wreaking havoc. A cataclysmic battle ensues between the two celestial beasts, after which, of course, by virtue of the purpose for which he was created, Ganda Berunda reigns victorious, clawing Sharaba to death. He uses his claws this time and makes certain to only use those powerful pointed talons to destroy his enemy in this case. He safeguards his beak from imbibing the blood, thereby breaking this cycle. Vishnu's conquest over Sharaba released Shiva from his dreadful form, causing him to remember his divine nature. Shiva returned to his abode, praising Vishnu, just as Vishnu had before praised Shiva. One hand washes the other, does it not? Okay. Vishnu also returned to his own abode, glad to return the favor, to fulfill his divine purpose to preserve the world. Okay. Now, of course, this rendition is occurring in the stories behind the poses. As many of the tales that are told in this podcast, there are tales that are told sort of out of the ether because they have not already been narrated. But why reinvent the wheel? Why not share some of the beauty of the tellings in the book? Now, the book is related to asanas or yoga postures in particular, but the stories are infinitely valuable with or without the asanas. So, the spiritual gloss at the end of this telling is as follows. As you do this difficult pose, it is a very difficult pose, remember the difficult task of Ganda Berunda, who had to conquer the fearsome Sharaba, an incarnation of Shiva that was created to conquer his own previous rampant incarnation, Narasimha. Remember, too, the cyclical nature of the story as you attain a circular posture with your feet reaching your head in the most unexpected and challenging manner. It is also crucial here to remember the interplay between preservation and destruction, as well as the collaboration of Shiva and Vishnu. They each have a part to play. They each have a past. So before you answer the question whether Vishnu is supreme or Shiva is supreme, it's sort of linear thinking, isn't it? Remember the tale of this two-headed bird who may view the answer differently from each set of eyes. We have this really ancient phenomenon. Certainly is the Rig Veda. We see this practice of, well, Agni, you are supreme, you are the fire god, you are the best, you are the absolute. Glorious hymn to Agni. And then in the very next breath, Indra, king of gods, you are supreme, you are glorious, you are absolute. And then in the very next hymn, Soma, you are supreme, you are glorious, you are absolute. So it is not a question of a logical fallacy. It is a question of raising the awareness to a space beyond linear thinking. It's a question of beholding not just one, but the many facets of the same gem. Because it is through turning of the gem that we really are able to appreciate its glitter. Hopefully, this has been helpful. And hopefully, you've enjoyed this tale a fraction as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Feel free to come study with me at the Indian Wisdom School, indianwisdomschool.com. Or feel free to reach out if I can be in service in some way, rajbalkaran.com. Until next time, keep well. Take care. Namaste.